All right, here's a clip I'm excited to show you guys of Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly actually breaking down exactly what Zohran Mamdani is going to do to New York City. Check it out.
We got to talk about the fact that New York is becoming a communist Bolshevik town. It's incredible. I'm sorry. I've lived in New York State for 50 years and only recently moved to Connecticut and New York City for 17. I can't believe they've done this. How did we go from Giuliani, Bloomberg, cross over de Blasio and Adams to a socialist who now is very likely to win because anybody who gets the Democratic nomination wins. Now, it's true, some people will organize against him. Some New York business leaders are very scared. Some Jews in New York are very scared that this guy who defended globalized the Intifada recently on a podcast at the Dispatch is their next likely mayor. So they could potentially organize now in a way they didn't before the primary to stop him. But if you had to put money on it, you'd have to put it on this guy becoming the next mayor. What does this say about New York and our country?
Well, a lot. And I'm going to push the envelope a little bit, Megyn. So you have to give me, and you can push back at any time. So I think
you're in trouble. I saw you're in trouble with Jessica Tarlov of Fox News on the internet.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say it here on air because I don't hide from my opinions. But yes, and you can push back and disagree, and I'll give all the proper caveats, which of course I believe in. But yes, the socialism part is very important. I mean, he has like some of the dumbest ideas imaginable, which we're going to have city-run grocery stores. Yeah, that works really well in Cuba. Bring back bread lines, right? Mamdani 2025. And obviously he wants to tax the rich. He wants to take more money away from people. All that's super bad. He wants to defund the police. He's on the record saying defund the police. He wants to send social workers instead of cops. But like, we need to also understand, and we have to be very delicate how we talk about this, and I'll give all the proper caveats, right? Not every Muslim is bad. A lot of Muslims are really decent and good people. My primary care doctor is actually Muslim. I've endorsed someone running for office as a Muslim, Zuhdi Jasser here. In Arizona. So we all know individually good Muslims. But we also must kind of take pause and say, wait a second. The two financial power centers of the West are obviously London and New York. And are we really going to have two Muslim mayors of the major financial power centers of the West? Like, let's just take a pause and take a step back and like, what does that say and what does that mean? And people say, well, it's irrelevant that he's Muslim. Well, you said it best. He wants to globalize the Intifada. And by the way, that just means globalized terrorism. To say that
to clarify, he did not say globalize the Intifada directly. He didn't come out and say, let's globalize the Intifada. He didn't tweet that out. However, he did endorse a Hamas-connected group called the Holy Land Five in a rap song, as well as actually when somebody asked him, so what do you think about globalizing Intifada? Does that make you uncomfortable? He refused to condemn that phrase. So in a way, he endorsed the phrase, but did not like tweet out, let's globalize the Intifada.
He is the first mayoral candidate of any significance to say that he supports sanctions of Israel. I want you to understand that. That is America's most Jewish city, New York, and he wants to sanction Israel. And we're not allowed to mention that he's also Muslim. Like, I'm sorry, like that actually matters a lot. And he should be put on the record and ask questions about not just his faith, but also, do you think that it's good that we're continually importing hundreds of thousands of people that don't import our values? And you look at Ilhan Omar. Is Ilhan Omar a good example of someone that has pride and patriotism and gratitude for our country? It's not a good track record so far. And from Mamdani, you're seeing someone that has resentment-driven politics, super bad economics, terrible economics. But dare I also say, a radical cultural orthodoxy that is going to be introduced into America's largest city. One that will not make it a safe place for Jews, not a safe place increasingly, I think, for Western values and potentially Christians. And to say that you are in favor of boycotting, divesting, and sanctioning Israel in America's most Jewish city, and it's just a coincidence that that guy happens to be Muslim, yeah, I think that's complete rubbish. And final point I'll say is this, is that London is a captured city. I don't know if you've been there recently, Megyn, but awful. It is a husk of its former self. It is terrible. And I don't like the fact that I go to Piccadilly Square and I see more Arabic than I see English, that I see more stores that are Yemen, Omani, Saudi Arabian. That is a conquered and a captured country. And Mamdani has to run on his own merits. He's his own individual person. But he has not given any indication that he is anything but a radical socialist and someone that is trying to continue the Mohammedan march in the West. Individual Muslims can be great members of American society. We all know them. But in the macro, in the big picture, are we really benefiting the more that we are importing Islamists into the West? I say no, and I think we should have a lot of caution making a Muslim socialist the mayor of America's largest city. And I know I'm in trouble for saying that, but I'll double down on it because I think that comes with a lot of baggage and a lot of trouble.
The response to not your argument, but your feelings have been espoused by others, including Benny Johnson, who said he tweeted, "New York City in 2001 will never forget." After the World Trade Center, New York City in 2025 elects Muslim jihadist. That's not what you called him. You did not call him this guy a jihadist.
No, I did not, for the record, I never said that.
You did not say that.
And I like Benny a lot, but I did not say that.
Yeah, but here's how Ryan James Gradowski responded to Benny. He says, it's a low IQ hot take. He says, Mamdani's not a jihadist. Sure, he hates Jews and supports a global movement to kill them because he's okay with the globalize the Intifada chants. But he's also about queer liberation and women's rights. This is true. He's just an identity-based socialist where your value is connected to your race. I mean, that's the thing. Like, the true radical jihadis are not out there at pride parades and wanting to make a major part of their platform pride rights and free trans surgeries for minors, which is part of Mamdani's promise.
That's a good point.
Right? So
I agree.
He's an odd jihadi if he's a jihadi, according to Benny Johnson.
I like Benny a lot. I would not, and I won't say anything negative about him. I wouldn't use the word jihadi. But I will say, though, he has hatred for the West. And that we can all agree upon. Where does that hatred come from?
Yeah.
Does it come from his radical professor father? Does it come from the Shia Islam that he believes in?
But
we don't quite
wait,
know.
let me just ask you about this. I accept that. But does he hate it any more than the white Upper West Side women who surrounded me when I lived there?
No, that's
they
voting
feel exactly
for him.
as he does.
Totally. No, I agree. And I think, though, that he now represents, should we import more people like him? That obviously again, he was, I think, born here. I don't know, or did he?
He was born in. I don't know. He was born in.
Yeah.
Where was he
Kenya
born?
or something?
We just went over this. No, Uganda.
Ghana.
Uganda.
Yeah. And so, has this guy been a great picture of American assimilation? No. And that is the tragic truth of far too much Muslim immigration to the West. You see it in Rotterdam, you see it in Paris, you see it in London, you see it across Germany, is that the Islamist world does not assimilate well to the Western world. In fact, they create their own pockets of no-go zones. They try to take over City Hall, as you could see evidence in London and Rotterdam. They try to create own areas of their kind of Sharia-type law and radical Islam. I don't know if that's what Mamdani will do, but I know this. It doesn't matter because he is a perfect personification of what we call the red-green axis. The red-green axis is Marxism and Mohammedism that come together to destroy the West. And he is an agreeable spot for that. There's a lot of Muslims in New York, and there's a lot of, also to your point, white Upper East Side, higher income earners that have luxury beliefs that want to, whatever reason, see the suicide of New York City. What is shocking is that the richer you are in New York City, the more likely you are to support Mamdani. The poorer you are, the more likely you were to support Cuomo. And so
blacks and poor people in New York voted for Cuomo, and Asians and whites voted for Mamdani. It's amazing.
So I think it's just, the point is this, is that it's obvious he hates the West. Where does that come from? I don't know. Now, if his name was Clark Smith, he might have the same sort of radicalism, but I do think that there is a pattern recognition that for whatever reason, people get really mad when you mention, which is like, wait a second, we now have Sadiq Khan, and we have Ilhan Omar, we have Rashida Tlaib, and now Mamdani, and none of these people have nice things to say about Western civilization. And either they or their parents are here on invitation only to the West. That is the distinction. We have made a conscious decision to bring millions of people from the Middle East or Muslims into America. Has that worked? Is it a good thing? Is it improving New York? Has this guy been a shining beacon of assimilation and adopting American values? Or is he an insurgent against New York City to try to break it down, make it into a poor version of Gotham? And so I want to make sure everyone in the audience understands. So there are some good Muslims out there, obviously, but as Islam has crept its way into the power centers of the West, it has not materially improved our life. In fact, it's done the exact opposite.
And that's being done intentionally. It's being done intentionally.
That's the point. And that's why I think it's important that I push the envelope a little bit on this.
I understand. So, yes. I totally get it. Totally get it. This video, I've done years in coverage of these radical jihadis and radical Islamists and who they are. And Ayan has been my best teacher on all of it. I mean, just read any book she's written, read any article she's written. She's lived it firsthand. Okay. But what their goal is not a secret. You actually don't have to spend much time looking at this to know what their goal is. This video is making the rounds on X. It's from 1990. And it's someone speaking on behalf of the Muslim Brotherhood, a woman talking about the goals for infiltration in American cities.
American melting pot. We do not want to melt into American society and disappear. We want to go into American society with Islamic ideals and revamp their thinking. We want to revamp them. We want to turn them into Muslim individuals. We shouldn't have feelings of a distaste for them or intolerance, because they're potential Muslim. Education is one of the most important areas that Muslims have to address. And while our final objective, is not just to become part of the system that we experience now and that we see, our final objective is to create our own Islamic systems, and not only create Islamic systems for Muslims, but to look at all the other people who are sharing this country with us as potential Muslims. And in that long-range process of making America Muslim, all of America Muslim.
Yeah. So it's not a secret.
It's not a secret. And the most important data point is that, has this improved the West? Are we more united? Are we talking about things of prosperity and abundance and unity? Has this been about like a return to American values? Or does this feel kind of like an insurgency campaign that we have voluntarily invited into our society? And again, so people are going to attack me. My primary care doctor is Muslim. I've endorsed him for running for office, all that stuff. But when we look at our immigration policy, that continues to bring people in that don't assimilate, and they don't, I've said this before, and it drives people nuts, and I don't care. Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. Fundamentally, Islam is at war with freedom of speech, with freedom of worship, with freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, and separation of mosque and state. They don't believe in a separation of mosque and state. That's why so many of them are running for office, is that at its core, Islam is about power. The greatest man ever to live in the telling of Islam is a desert warlord. It's not a criticism, it's just a fact. And so as we're looking at this as Westerners, we should just, Jessica Tarlov calls me an Islamophobe. And my response was like, please stop using thought-terminating cliches and let's just have a discussion about this.
Yes.
Okay? It's not about like being, like, is it good for us? Has it improved our life? Do we want this to continue? Is this the best we can do? Is London doing better since Sadiq Khan took over? No, actually. They're doing far worse. The UK is a divided, sad, just somber museum is basically what it is. And so
listen to this. So I'm just going to add to it. Laura Ingraham tweeted this out. It's a related point, which I think is what you're trying to say. She wrote, "You think New York City's turn to socialism and communism is just a New York thing? It's not. Uncontrolled immigration, greenlit since the 1980s by the Uniparty, is remaking every American community. We imported anti-Americanism, cultivated it in schools. Now comes the poisonous crop." And on top of that, you get, Zohran's, tweets from the past saying things like queer liberation means defund the police. He wants to open the prisons and get rid of the cops. Correct. And we're supposed to believe he loves the country.
All right. So Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly did a great job here breaking down the threat of Zohran Mamdani. He is a radical Muslim socialist who wants to destroy New York and turn it into an Islamist place. Some funny memes here that I wanted to show you guys that I think capture it even better than they were able to articulate there. Here is one of the Statue of Liberty. You see in the Naqib, I believe. And here is one. You're going to like this one. A guy writes, Zohran won. We're in the bomb shelter. That's hilarious. All right. And one final take on this. I think that it's very important to look at the Islamic world. What are they doing? The Islamic world is very scared that the West will infiltrate them, that the Western society will take over and basically modernize them. And so if they're scared of coming to the West, of the West coming to them essentially, the West should definitely be scared of the Islamists coming to us. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored, and I'll see you in the next one.